I didn't put a. Well, guys, hello. We are live on YouTube, on X, and Rumble, I think. But welcome to Sunday night edition of Sounding Off Podcast, which started kind of a little on the rough side. But why not? We got the three idiots together, finally.
Yeah,
we haven't been together in quite a while.
Yeah.
We got Kevin Miserable Michelizzi. I don't know why I said miserable. It just looked, yeah. And Daniel Bosworth. What's going on, Dan?
I'm good,
me, brother.
I am enjoying the weather in Moscow. +9 today, sun, blue sky.
Oh, it was +13 where I was.
Oh, maybe it was +13.
Yeah, it was warm. It was warm today, and spring is definitely in the air. But then again, spring's probably been in the air in Crimea, hasn't it, Kevin?
Yeah, it was cold up until a couple of days ago, but it was warm today.
Speaking
been running
of
around
so warm,
t-shirt.
Yeah, it's so warm. I need to open a window. See, here in Russia, when you're flat or your home gets too warm, you just open a window.
Yep. I just opened up the balcony door.
Yeah, well, I'm going to open up the window, so bear with me 1 second. I don't want to stand up and show my pajamas to everybody.
Kevin, can you hear me?
Yeah, kind of, sort of, almost.
Yeah, we lost you there for a sec.
Yeah, well, guess I'm going to have to switch my VPN. That's okay. We can put us somewhere in Europe. Be right back.
Well, yeah, I'm back. What's up? Russell Rican is in the house, is in the chat. Hey, man, what's going on?
Oh, North Carolina?
Yeah.
60 degrees?
Dang, Tony. 50 in Canton, Michigan.
Nice.
Spring is coming. Wow. Glad to have everybody here. We didn't know if we were going to do this live after all.
Yeah.
And we almost passed up on it, but then I said, nah, let's go ahead. And since everybody was, the three idiots were available, it's like, why not? Let's come on and find out what's going on.
Yeah.
Odious. Hey, pal.
Hey, glory to the High Council.
Cheers.
Hey, guys, I want to share something with you guys. My new favorite drink, which you can't see it, but it's coffee. But I had dinner with some friends at a restaurant. It's an Italian restaurant here in Moscow called Trattoria Venezia. I guess like Venice territory, maybe in Italian.
Hold up, Eddie. Hold up.
Trattoria Venezia. It's over close to Tverskaya Metro.
Wait,
you ever been there?
Eddie, they have restaurants in Russia?
Oh, everywhere, man.
Oh, okay.
Even got street food.
I didn't know that.
I mean, I see bears running everywhere, but I didn't know Russia has restaurants.
Yeah, no. They're actual restaurants, and they, they deliver. They have home delivery with Yandex.
What?
Yada. Yandex Eats.
Next thing you know, the kids won't be going to school on the backs of bears.
I know, man. I know, but it's what a shock and surprise. But there are restaurants, and they serve fresh food. Anyway, my friends ordered a coffee, and it sounded pretty good. So I said, "Hey, what is that?" And I said, "Okay, so it's black coffee with slices of really thin slices of ginger, half a thin cut onion. I mean onion. I am an idiot. Lemon and some honey on the bottom. And let me tell you, man, it was absolutely delicious. I've been drinking this coffee ever since. Sans the honey, because I'm avoiding sugar. Because if you haven't noticed, I returned Texas with a lot of extra Eddie that I'm trying to lose. So no sugar. You didn't notice. Let me tell you, I noticed when I put my clothes on. But anyway, so black coffee, a little bit of ginger. Don't use the powder. Use fresh ginger. Just cut it really thin. And half a slice of lemon. No sugar. My goodness, man. It is freaking delicious. Try it out.
Will do.
Coffee with onion. I'm telling you, man. Oh my gosh.
I mean, I'm speechless. I mean, you're telling me Russia has restaurants. You're telling me Russia has coffee. It even has lemons.
Next, you'll know, they'll say that we can actually watch Western TV here using a VPN.
What?
Eddie.
What? What?
I said next thing you know, Daniel was talking about that. Yeah, next thing you know, we'll be able to watch like Amazon Prime and Netflix and things using a VPN.
You can do that?
I
thought VPNs were like outlawed or something here in Russia.
Yeah.
Well, you mean YouTube is? That's why we can't stream to YouTube anymore.
Why is this the first time I'm hearing about this? Because yeah. Dude, VPNs. Here's
Daniel,
the thing with the VPN.
All
right.
There was a guy in Eddie's chat who was going on about it was illegal and you couldn't watch Western TV. So
yeah.
You can
so
go.
hi guys over on YouTube. We got quite a crowd over there.
All right, welcome.
I'm freezing in my 16-degree weather.
If you go to Ozon, Yandex Market, maybe Wildberries, you type in VPN router, and you will get hundreds of hardware solutions that can be delivered to you within a day or two. Okay,
Wait, so okay, so you mean
you can get VPNs too. Imagine that.
I'm living here 13 years, man. I didn't know all this.
Ginger, lemon.
13 years I'm living in Moscow. I didn't know we had restaurants and fruit
Italian restaurants and
electronics and websites and all this good stuff.
I'm telling you.
Wow.
All right, guys. Well, hey, I have an announcement to make. I guess I should have put that in the title.
Oh, let me do it. Eddie's feeling like a woman and his ovaries are working. He's become pregnant.
What? No. No. That's not the announcement. It's definitely not the announcement. But I got something better. I have an announcement. Doom, 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 doom. Guys, just a little bit of frank talk here. My Moscow Photographer YouTube channel is going absolutely nowhere.
That's a shame.
And there's several reasons for it, but I think one of them has to do with some manipulation on the part of YouTube, or at least Google or Alphabet.
But how's that possible? Trump's in office now.
Well, hadn't cleaned up house there yet, Hadn't cleaned up house there. So I have decided, because I've got, when I started Moscow Photographer, the channel was mainly supposed to be about cultural and interesting and entertaining content about Russia, about Moscow, and about my life as an expat at that time, now an immigrant here in Moscow. But at that time, there was a lot of chaos going back in the States, and I just couldn't keep my mouth shut. So I created this podcast so I could sound off. You know, I'd get pissed off and I'd want to talk about it. And then I found a couple of more idiots that wanted to talk with me. So it kind of morphed into something different. And sometimes I feel that I get more attention on the Sounding Off podcast than I do on my video production. And so I feel it's time to separate this. So that's what we're doing. And today I'm announcing that. Not next week. It depends. It depends. I need 50 subscribers on my newly formed YouTube channel, the Sounding Off podcast, where this podcast, where my political walk and talks, where my political rants, anything to do with geopolitics will be on Sounding Off podcast, and Moscow Photographer will go back to its roots of what it was intended to be. And but before I can live stream on Sounding Off podcast, I need 50 subscribers. Right now, I have one, maybe. So do me a favor, head over to, and we'll wait for you. If you want to go over there right now and then come back once you click the subscribe button and come back, and I'll make some announcements over the course of the live stream, but please, I would appreciate it. I need 50 subscribers before I can live stream off of Sounding Off podcast channel. Yeah,
I'll do that tonight.
Appreciate it, guys. So let's do that. And then probably over the course of a few weeks, once I'm able to live stream in both channels, then I will slowly stop the live streams on Moscow Photographer, and they will solely be on the Sounding Off podcast. But it's not only going to be live streams, it's going to be like my walk and talks, my rants, maybe interviews with interesting people, but of a geopolitical nature will be on the Sounding Off podcast. All right.
Sounds good.
So before we talk about the crap that's been going on in the world with Trump, with Syria, and all this, I just want to show you guys something. Let's talk about something that I think might be manipulation. So this is from my YouTube studio, and these represent the 3 last long-form videos that I have created for Moscow Photographer. And I was surprised because they all capped at about 3.5 thousand views and then died a lonely YouTube death.
So, Eddie, let me ask you a question. Are you doing? Are you going to stream on VK video?
I can. I mean, I have a VK account. I just don't know if I can integrate it. Can I integrate VK through here?
You can integrate VK as an RTMP stream.
Okay.
But to monetize, you also have to create a community, and you have to have 5,000 followers on a community, which is why I highly recommend RooTube.
Yeah, I will be creating a RooTube.
Yeah, in the last 4 weeks, I've gone from about 35 views to I'm over 10,000 views now. And so I'm eligible to monetize when their computers catch up and decide to change how many views I have to allow it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. RooTube. Yeah. Okay.
So, Martian Q, thank you so much for becoming a subscriber. Thank you so much. But yeah, let me just show you a little background into YouTube and how it works. So last 3 long form videos top out 3,500 views, which if you think about it, I have 16,000 subscribers. So that's almost 20% of my base subscribers. That's not bad. But when you dig into the metrics of each particular video, there's an interesting pattern. So here's one. This is Men's Day in Russia. 3.6 thousand views, 178,000 watch hours. And this curve right here represents the amount of views, but also the amount of impressions. In other words, this matches about how many times YouTube placed my thumbnail in front of someone's YouTube screen. And then they just stop promoting it. It just goes flat. Now, good thing is it brought in 24 subscribers. Not bad. I'll take it. Second video, when I visited the U.S. Embassy, 3,500 subscribers. Look at that curve. Boom. It dies. A lonely death. I gained 22 subscribers on it. So I'm grateful for that. And here's one more. Is now the best time to move to Russia? And look at that curve again. Right up there. And then it freaking dies. Brought in 24 subscribers. So not bad. But what are the odds that 3 back-to-back videos cap at about the same point and don't go any further? I mean, I might really suck. The videos might be really bad. I don't know. Maybe that's why they didn't grow. I'm a big enough person to admit that. But I mean, it defies the law of averages.
I know that part of the problem is the Russia in the title. Since I quit using Russia in titles, I tend to get more views.
Yeah. And that's another reason that I want to separate these two channels, because I feel sometimes the topics that we talk about here on this platform impact negatively on the Moscow Photographer platform. And the thing about it is that the reason these two platforms, the Sounding On podcast and the Moscow Photographer channel exist is what?
You have 7 subscribers now.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. But the reason is that we want to be able to have a voice. We want to show those in the West, those especially in, have you seen what's going on in the EU and the UK? Man, those guys are like nuts. And just the Russophobia and just the hate and all that. And of course, I'm just one person and one voice, but we're trying to crack through that wall of resistance. And if I can't get my video seen by people, then I'm just wasting my energy. So it's important that I grow. And it's important that we all grow, all 3 of us, because that means that our voice is getting out there. So that's the reason why we're doing this. But I appreciate it. 7 subscribers. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, much like I'll stop, here shortly, geopolitical stuff on my American in Crimea channel too. You will only find it on InfoWars Press. So, links in the description.
Yeah, have you guys ever talked to the Duran? Are you kidding me? It would be interesting to hear you exchange perspectives, and it would get some crossover viewers too. Absolutely. No, I agree. These guys have. I've been watching them I started to watch them around the time the SMO started, and they have really, really grown in their audience has grown substantially, and they give really, really good analysis. So, yeah.
I have reached out to them a couple of times, but they have no interest in little potatoes.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. And I don't blame them. They simply probably too busy with marquee level folks that they just don't have the time or the energy to engage in smaller channels. But that's the way it is.
Eddie, what's the new sounding off? Okay, I'm trying to find it to subscribe.
Sounding off
podcast.
At Sounding Off Podcast. Yeah.
What is it?
At Sounding Off Podcast.
Thanks.
So, Martian, you know, I am glad to know that when I was working for the DoD, I did my job well. He's saying that idiots got the propaganda.
Yeah.
My daughter's guy friend, she went to Europe with him last summer, and they went to his grandmother's house and his uncle's house, and they were all slamming the nasty Russians and everything else. And she called me. She says, "What should I say?" That's what I told her. So she did. She says, "Oh, my dad says he's glad he did his job well."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You did it too well, my friend. But then again, it's been going on for decades. So.
Decades, yeah. So we'll undo what we can.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's talk about. Go ahead. You got the floor.
I was going to say, speaking of propaganda, you know, propaganda can also be not telling people things.
Sure.
That's my lead in to your topic.
Sins of omission.
Sins of omission.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Propaganda can be not telling people.
Everyone thinks propaganda is purely twisting the truth or putting false information out.
Right.
Think about it. You know, you always teach your kids, don't tell a lie. I always taught my kids, if you only tell half the truth, you're telling half a lie.
So it kind of leads into this.
Well,
and let me ask that we've got some folks here in the live, or rather in the live chat. Let me ask you, what have you heard? What do you know about what is happening in Syria, and what has happened in Syria over the weekend? What do you know about it? Anybody?
Kevin knows.
Nobody knows what's going on in Syria. This is why it's propaganda, Daniel. Have you heard anything about what's been going on in Syria?
Only through Telegram chats like Yeva Bartlett.
Well, Ava is a great one. Yes.
Yeah, I don't watch mainstream media. I don't watch news at all. I only follow guys like you and Telegram, Telegram channels, people who have witnessed, people who have been there. I like to get my facts from people who have seen it with their own eyes, not he say, she say, So I follow experts, like you guys, and I've seen one or two disturbing videos over the weekend. So I kind of know what's going on.
Randolph White has got it here. He has the answer. So the last 2 days, this has been going on. In the last 48 hours, they've had a severe outbreak of violence that's resulted in over 1,000 deaths, including almost 800 civilians. And it was a clash between forces loyal to Bashar al-Assad clashing with the new rulers in Latakia. And so they've had street executions, women being paraded around naked and then shot. And, this is what's been going on.
Really
the Syrian
horrific
leader.
visuals.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to really horrific visuals on this.
So hold on a sec now. So who's behind? Who's supporting them? These rebels? Who's paying them?
Well, so this is why nobody's hearing about anything in the mainstream media in the West. This is the rebels who took over the government now, who now
Right.
claim that they do not support terrorists. Never mind, they were a U.S.-funded terrorist group. So, Western mainstream media doesn't want to tell you about what's going on here because it can make them look bad, because the guys doing all this murdering is the same guys the United States funded.
Wait, how can you have that in one sentence? How does the U.S. fund U.S. fund and terrorist group? How is it? I don't understand what you're saying.
So this was funded prior to Trump. This is in the Biden administration, and actually it goes back even to Obama, because they've been trying to get rid of Bashar al-Assad for over a decade at least. And so these ruthless terrorists, because they take pride in filming some of these executions and putting them on X, putting them on Telegram, things like that. And really, really horrific stuff. But mainstream media doesn't want the attention because it will further embarrass the deep state. It will further embarrass the elite class. It will further embarrass Biden et al. But here's the other flip side of that coin. That's what we need to talk about. Trump is going to inherit this situation.
Mess.
And what is he going to do, and how is he going to clean it up? We already saw, and we see in real time what he's doing with Ukraine and Project Ukraine, but he's just inherited another Biden catastrophe, another Biden and deep state engineered catastrophe in Syria. How do you think he's going to handle it? Because these are questions that nobody in the Western media is asking.
But is
right here.
Is it possible? Is there anything that he can do to fix this mess?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sick doge on them, first of all, to find out, are they still being funded?
Yeah.
By some back channels.
By U.S. taxpayers.
Exactly.
But, when is this shit going to end? When is this? It's ridiculous.
When is it going to end? Like Odious says, think about Afghanistan. What was that? We were fighting against guys that we supplied weapons and money to. And then we decide we don't like them and we fight them. Iran. Okay? Current regime in Iran is enemy of the United States. But who put the previous Shah in place? The United States. Who funds terrorists there, like Hezbollah, that are now fighting against Israel, that they're now calling terrorists?
Wait,
Hamas,
but didn't
U.S. funded?
But
did you know
Obama, that? Say that again.
Hamas. You know where they started out? United States. United States and Israel. Israel's fighting with the terrorists that they funded.
What a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
The United States has basically created and funded our own enemies. And then instead of calling them true enemies, they blame nation states like Russia or Iran or whoever as being a, state sponsor of terrorism? No, the United States government. is a state sponsor of terrorism. Let's call it what it is.
Why is that? Because if we're selling weapons to these guys to create wars and overthrow other governments, who's making all the money? The U.S. military industrial complex. And when they make money, who earns money? The deep state guys.
Unbelievable.
So this is why the Democrats are outraged at the Republicans right now, at Trump and his administration. They're looking at being exposed. Musk is basically taking away all of their back channel funding from them. So he's taking money out of their pockets. Putin said this probably, I don't know, Odious can probably correct me on this. I heard it probably 15, almost 20 years ago. The United States has to have an enemy to keep their military industrial complex in business.
Absolutely.
Now, I'll be fair. I'm fair at poking the bear, too. Russia does the same thing. Not as outrageously as the United States. Russia does a little poke here and there.
Let's take a step
more
back.
About selling to other countries.
Okay, unless you nationalize your defense industry, the only way that the private sector can basically research and create more creative ways to kill people, they have to have a profit. And to keep this machine going, you need a steady stream of income. And we call that engineered wars, engineered chaos all around the world. Okay,
so
it's nuts when you think about it.
Eddie and I talked about this last week when you couldn't make it. Artillery shells in the United States, when we were selling them to Ukraine, well, giving them to Ukraine, selling them to the Europeans to sell to Ukraine, they cost $1,000 a shell. When Biden left office in December, they cost $9,000 a shell.
Wow. So I guess
supply and demand.
The deep state, I think one of their number one goals is depopulation, right? So it's like all intertwined, right? The military industrial complex, the pharmaceutical industry, like all of this is to make money and to depopulate.
They all play a part, and I'm not so sure that there's such like deep coordination. I think there's a lot of cooperation. These corporations look at what another corporation is doing and taking advantage of a situation and say, hey, well, I can do the same too. And so there it goes. And so I think a lot of it is just mutual cooperation and not really coordination. But that's just my opinion. I don't know. I'm not part of the deep state.
So, hey,
I don't know.
I just looked. You'll be happy to know that artillery shells have gone down in price under Trump. They're down to $8,600 a shell.
Mm.
Wow.
Minimum purchase 1,000 shells for $8.6 million. So now when you think about the United Kingdom giving 20-some million Great British pound to Ukraine to buy weapons with, it isn't a whole lot of shells. It's less than a week's worth of shells.
Wow. Wow. That's a big, big business.
George's,
Odious says, Russia don't mind big military industry. At least there are places to work and people to study. One of the spheres where science is still involved and developed also stuff to sell. And see, in America, since it's privatized, and your military at the lowest ranks, I remember, when I was growing up, when I was of military age, it was the Army commercials. What was it? Be all you can be.
Or you can be.
Be all you can be. Okay, come to work for the United States Army as a soldier. We'll give you money for college. We'll give you a re-enlistment bonus. We'll give you all.
See
Okay,
the world.
it was a jobs program. Okay, it was a jobs from E1 to E3, E4 ranks. That's a jobs program. And yes, you're just you're meat. You're meat.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's how the military
Yeah.
was been designed, at least in America.
The thing I'll give Russia is they aren't the aggressor the United States is. Primarily defense. I mean, where would Russia be today if they didn't have all this stuff stockpiled and able to churn it out as quickly as they can? But they sell it to other countries.
Let me ask you a question. How many bases, military bases, does the U.S. have around the world, and how many does Russia have?
Don't have an answer off the top of my head, but it's something like 50 to 75 to 1 or more.
I think the U.S. has like 367 or 300 and something bases in 80 something countries. From what I understand.
They have a lot.
Why?
They do have a lot.
Why?
Here's another thing. Trump was questioning our role in Japan's overall national security. Because when Japan surrendered during World War II, we basically ate Japan. We said, "You're ours, baby." And yes, you can have a military, but you're going to buy your stuff from us. And we're going to station our troops here, and we'll protect you. Don't worry about it. And now you've got Trump saying, why? Why are we doing this? We don't need to do this. Japan has an incredible industrial base. I think China has beat it, but the better quality. I remember when, 20 years ago, we all made the same joke. Where is it made? Oh, it's made in Japan. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it's good stuff. Where's that come from? It comes from China. Yeah, that's trash. And for the majority of electronics and dry goods, that was true. Not anymore. Not anymore.
So I understand.
So I have numbers for you, Daniel.
Yeah.
Russia, if you take out the 2 in Syria, because I don't know if they still hold them or not, and you take out the Sevastopol Navy base, Russia has 19 bases across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, across 8 countries.
Wow.
The United States has 750 bases across 8 countries.
I was about to say it was closer to 800. Yeah, that I remember. That was the last number I remember.
Holy smokes! Now the question is, why so many bases around the world? Like, are they truly there to help? Or are they there to be able to control?
Control
and intimidation. You can intimidate the neighbor, across the street in the next country, next several countries.
Why do you think Russia didn't want Ukraine in NATO?
Wow.
They didn't want a bully on their doorstep. And the United States is a bully because of the way it acts.
So, can you name a few of the countries that Russia has a military base in, Kevin?
I could have if I didn't just close the page.
Oh, okay.
Hang on. History is a great thing.
Like,
again, I'm pulling Syria out because I don't know if they still hold those 2 bases. This is from last year. So Kyrgyzstan, Georgia, Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Transnistria, and Vietnam.
Wow.
And no, I cannot name the 750 in 80 countries for the United States.
Well, you can see the difference right there between the countries.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's incredible. Freaking incredible.
You know, I'm so tired of the hypocrisy. I'm so tired of the hypocrisy. Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, think about it. There's only 193 countries in the UN. The U.S. has bases in just short of half of them.
You know, it's like, I understand a country wanting to protect their country and to make to be able to make the country better, right? To try to make deals around the world, or to try to secure things for better deals for their country, but not go to the point where you're disrupting other countries, you're hurting other people's lives and cultures and country, like, and I just feel like the U.S. is doing this. They're trying to control and to. I can't even.
So we'll throw Syria in there. Odious says they still have their bases there, so there's 2 of them there in Syria.
Yeah, but why? Why are they in Syria? They were there to protect, to help.
They were there at the invitation of Bashar al-Assad. Sergey, you and I have had go-arounds before. You know what? Yes, I know Abkhazia and South Ossetia are regions. They were Georgia. So read the Western news. They put them in Georgia. I pulled Sevastopol out. They're listed as Ukraine. So let's not.
You guys understand what I'm saying, right? I understand how countries want to protect themselves and give them, many opportunities for different things, right, to help their country. But it shouldn't go to the point where you're hurting or another country and their culture and their people, right? You know what I'm saying?
I agree, but so why do we have bases in Germany? Germany has their own military. They're under NATO protection. Why do we need U.S. bases there? So that we can attack other countries more quickly. And who would we attack from Germany? Russia, Belarus, shorter trips to parts of China. So we have bases from the United States closer to the United States as enemies to make attacking them easier. Why do we have so many troops in Poland? But it isn't to protect Poland. They're protected by NATO.
But why would you say enemies? Why does America look? The propaganda for, me growing up, even today, all the movies, all the TV series, who's the bad guy? Who plays the bad guys in all the movies and TV series? Russians.
I know where you're going with this, but do you consider that Russia is not an enemy of the United States? Do you consider that China is not an enemy of the United States in the United States' eyes?
In the United States' eyes, yes, but why? Why?
Well, why ask why?
No one in government has ever explained to me, like I'm a 6-year-old, why China is my enemy, why Russia is my enemy. No one. It's just a talking point. It's just a quick line that is just repeated. Before you know it, you're out with friends at dinner, and somebody brings up China, and they say, "Oh man, that China, yeah, I hate China. Yeah, they're our enemy."
Why?
They're just parroting what they've heard. This is the effect of propaganda.
Well, my opinion,
this is what it does.
My opinion is that when the U.S. wants something, from a certain country, that's when they start with the dialogue, and they make it so there's a reason. They make it where the citizens will support them when they want to go in and invade this country. Like, you know what I'm saying? If it's for oil or minerals or whatever, like if they want something from a country, then they start ramping up the propaganda so the citizens will support them when it comes time for them to. I mean, what do you think?
George has summed it up in a 6-year-old statement here. Every country that's independent from U.S. influence is considered an enemy.
Bingo.
Target.
So why is Ukraine such good friends with pre-Trump United States? Because the government that they put in place in 2014 is friendly to the United States and under their influence. Now, the United States will tell you that the prior administration in Ukraine was pro-Russian. They weren't going to, get on board with the European Union and stuff, and that's an outright lie. So,
that is crazy.
What happened in 2014 is they overthrew a legally elected government, and the president was actually talking to both sides. But the United States wanted the influence only from the West. So,
all right. So, all right, guys. I'm always learning with you guys. I'm always learning, right? I'm like one of the guys that. Well, I don't do this full time like you guys, but I always try every day to educate myself and to learn and to be open-minded and stuff. But what is the difference? What is the difference between the Cuban Missile Crisis? What is the difference between Russia wanting to put stuff in Cuba and then the U.S. wants NATO in Ukraine? Like, I don't understand. That's hypocrisy.
No difference whatsoever. But let's go back a little further, and maybe this will educate you on something you didn't know. Do you know why Russia put missiles in Cuba?
This was during the Cold War. It was because the U.S. What did the U.S. do?
The U.S., before Russia put missiles in Cuba, before the Soviet Union put missiles in Cuba, the U.S. put missiles in Turkey, aimed at Moscow. So what we learned growing up was it was the evil Soviet Union, not that the Soviet Union was simply responding to an aggression that the United States made in Turkey against the Soviet Union.
Wow.
It's the same story as always. We wanted influence. We wanted to have a better position to strike our enemy. The Soviet Union was our enemy. But when they do the same thing, we screamed about it. And the agreement at the time that resolved all this was that the Soviet Union would keep quiet about the missiles in Turkey and the US would pull them out. But the United States got to talk about how they forced the Russians out of Cuba. That was part of the agreement. So when you look at that, who are the nicer guys in that deal? United States wanted to beat their chest with that soft power. Look what we did to the Soviet Union. But if it wasn't for the Soviet Union being the more reasonable guys, it would have gotten worse. Same thing you have in Ukraine and Russia right now.
What does the U.S. have that they're so powerful that they can do this? Like they can control so many countries. Like what's going on?
Unlimited money because we got a printing press.
Yeah, the dollar. They control the payment system to the entire world. Well, most of the world now. You know, they have the soft power. They're losing it. This is one of the reasons I believe Trump is so willing to talk to President Putin now, because Trump, as a businessman, understands that they're losing their edge. They're losing their ability to control things. So by working with Russia, it can strengthen the United States as well as strengthen Trump. Somebody in the chat said earlier the way that the US can improve relations with other countries is to make friends with Russia, because Russia can negotiate like with Iran. Last week, Trump had a phone conversation with Vladimir Putin. It was announced by the Kremlin and the White House that Putin has agreed to negotiate with Iran for the United States.
Wow.
It's all soft power.
But wait, so you're saying Iran is an enemy of US?
The US says it is an enemy of the US.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
If I were to say they were anybody's enemy, it would be Israel's.
But so if the US is saying that Iran is their enemies, why would Obama give them money back? Didn't Obama give millions back to Iran?
Well, in exchange for a nuclear non-proliferation agreement, which Trump, in his first term, pulled out of.
Wow.
And who set up the Iran government before the current Shah? The United States. They overthrew the guy they didn't like, put a US-friendly guy in place. And then when he was overthrown by separatists that we funded, you now have the current guys in.
What year was that? What do you mean? The US did a color revolution in Iran?
You didn't know that?
1977, 78?
Yeah. We funded separatists who overthrew the government and put in a US friendly Shah. Then later those same guys overthrew that government, and that's who you have in power right now. Just like in Syria.
What a mess.
This playbook, we've seen this play before. You know what I mean? It's like in football. You see the lineup, you see everybody moving out. It's like, okay, I've seen this play before. I know what's going to happen. We've seen it before many, many times. Guys, I'm going to show a quick little video because we were talking about Biden and the Biden. Actually, this is the Obama administration overthrowing the duly elected government in Ukraine. And here we have Biden on a phone call. How should we say, allegedly, with Poroshenko. So the moderate. So let me play this video really quick. Let's see if we can get a good audio on it.
Clean up loose ends. November 16, 2016, 2 weeks after Donald Trump's victory, Joe Biden is on the phone with Poroshenko. His voice tenser now than before.
This is getting very, very close. What I don't want to have happen, I don't want Trump to get in the position where he thinks he's about to buy onto a policy where the financial system is going to collapse and he's going to be looked to pour more money into Ukraine. That's how he'll think about it before he gets sophisticated enough to know the details.
In other words, Biden does not want Ukraine asking for more money from Trump. Doing so would cause Trump to look into the details.
So anything you can do to push the Privat Bank to closure so that the IMF loan comes forward, I would respectfully suggest is critically important to your economic as well as physical security.
Critically overdrive.
Your physical security? Was that a death threat?
And you know, it's interesting because Privat Bank never, obviously Poroshenko didn't listen.
So
yeah. Wow.
And we are commenting on that video, YouTube.
We are commenting on it. Yes, 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 yes.
Yes. So think about Syria, Daniel. Why did the United States have troops in Syria recently? Oil. Who was saying that a minute ago? Oh, yeah. Right here. All but which. So the United States had troops in Syria protecting oil fields in the north. The United States told everybody it was for protection against the Assad regime as they called it, the legal government, but we were not invited. We were squatting and protecting oil fields that belong to Syria. These are the same guys that have overthrown the current that government and put the current one in place. In fact, Turkey was lined up to fight with the U.S. troops and their guys.
Now, am I was watching. I forget. I don't know if it was redacted. I forget, but they were talking about the Prime Minister of Israel 30 years ago in an interview, what he was saying, what he wanted to do with the Middle East. He wanted to reset the Middle East. He was saying this like 30 years ago. Netanyahu.
Oh, I'll say two things. One, listening to Redacted at this point, I used to listen to them all the time. Listening to them is like going into a supermarket in the United States and buying the National Enquirer. This is what they've become. But yes, Netanyahu has talked about this for 1,000 years. This has been the story for a long time. One Israel.
But I saw the interview with him or whoever he was speaking in front of about 30 years ago, and he was talking about resetting the Middle East. What does that mean?
That means one Israel, wipe out the Palestinians. He wanted to wipe out the Jordanians. He wants to go from, I don't know, what does he say, Eddie? Sea to shining sea, river to the
Libya,
sea, something
Libya
like
on one side to, I don't know my geography, Jordan on the other?
Yeah. The problem he's got is the King of Jordan is pro-U.S. So the United States isn't going to let Israel go in there. Wipe out the Palestinians, get them out of Gaza, not a problem. Somebody was asking about that in the chat just a little bit ago, too. I may have started, I may not have.
I think it was this one. Why do American leftists want to stop the killing in Gaza, but they are more than happy to have Slavs kill each other? The same party that used to be peace wants to weaken Russia. This is the doublespeak that we're talking about. That's why we don't hear anything about Syria over the weekend. But they talk about Gaza. But, you know, it's like, oh, my God, we need to stop the killing in Gaza. But go Ukraine! You know, it's like, absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. You know, what is this called? It's, well, you know, I said it before about fifth generation warfare, right? But it's like they're getting us from all different angles. They're confusing the hell out of us. You know?
Exactly. That's why it's called perception management.
Wow.
That is the official Department of Defense term. Perception management.
I don't know what to believe like anymore. I don't know what's true, what's not true, what's, you know, like. then you have artificial intelligence, and they can post something about a town or a village that looks like it's been destroyed, but it wasn't at all. You know, like it's scary, scary, scary shit.
Yeah,
Wow.
it is.
You know, when we talk about this and you hear it, it's like your brain, it can't comprehend some of this stuff. Like it's like it can't be true. It cannot be true. How can this be happening?
Yeah, no, it's definitely true, and that's what's coming to come into light. Guys, I'm going to bring this up one more time. This is S. Brian Reinhold Jr. I don't know if you found my channel, but just if you joined the chat or joined the live late, I have created a new channel where the Sounding Off podcast will be moved to here in the next, over the next few weeks. But I need 50 subscribers before I can live stream from the new Sounding Off podcast channel. Now, if you usually in YouTube just put at Sounding Off podcast or the channel name, it'll pop up. The channel is probably so new that it hasn't populated out to all the servers yet. So the only way to find it is you may have to type in the entire URL, which is...
I would say that's probably the case. I typed it in and it wouldn't find it. And about 5 minutes later, I typed it in and it did.
Okay.
So it's just...
So it's taking some time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll take some time to populate throughout all of their servers, but you can actually just type in this URL and it'll take you to the channel. I appreciate it. We have like 9 subscribers already. Let me see. We have...
Guys, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, fifth and sixth generation PSYOP. What is PSYOP again?
Psychological
operation.
Propaganda.
Psy war on U.S. citizens. That's what's happening in the USA.
It's been happening for ever.
Wow.
11 subscribers. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Отлично, спасибо.
Guys, I'm like, I feel like I'm spinning and my head's gonna fall off. I mean, I can't. There's so much. You know, I'm very happy because, you know, I'm open-minded and I'm not brainwashed, and you know, I've been learning a lot the last 15 years. I knew enough when my son was born in New York. I knew enough to move here and raise my children in Russia. I knew enough back then. But what I've learned in the last 3 years, 4 years, and what I'm still learning now is just, it's crazy, guys. It's crazy. It's like, a part of me feels like I lived a lie growing up in America. Like what I was taught in schools, what we were taught, what we were told about in history, what we were taught about the world. It's like, seems like it's all lies. All lies.
That's why they call this the Great Awakening. The Great Awakening.
Wow.
Truth is coming to light.
But unfortunately, there are some that are not going to wake. There are some that are not going to wake up.
Yeah, and these are the guys that are supporting the deep state guys, quite honestly. The ones that don't wake up are the ones that are out there saying bad Trump, bad Musk, bad Tulsi, bad J.D. Vance. These are the people that need to wake up to the reality of what Trump is doing. And let's not overplay Trump and what he's doing. He's doing a lot of good out there right now, a month in office. But he's doing it for particular reasons as well.
Wait. What do you mean by that?
I'll tell you what, we could do a whole show on that, but go do a little research and we'll bring you back in and blow your mind some more.
No, please don't tell me
that everything Donald Trump is doing, he's doing for the good of the American people. He's doing a lot for the American people. Don't think he's doing it all for the American people.
Okay, but let me ask you a question. What's going on with his son-in-law? What's up with this guy? What are they talking about rebuilding the Gaza Strip or putting in, like, what are they talking about? What is all that?
You're listening to the deep state. I'll tell you that. Go out in the last couple of days on YouTube. You can find Trump's press secretary talking about this issue specifically, where a reporter asked the exact same question. And the response, boiled down to just a sentence or two, was Trump is talking about supporting companies that go in and rebuild housing for the Palestinians. He wants to temporarily remove them from the Gaza Strip and rebuild their housing, or to support countries that are rebuilding their housing for them to come back in. But the deep state twists that, and they put out that AI video that says Trump wants to build mega malls and, dancing homos in beards and dresses. And so this is the deep state talking again. The actual executive order that he signed on this is to simply support the companies that choose to go in and rebuild housing for the Palestinians to live in.
So let me ask you a question for guys like myself who are, not like you guys, have channels.
Yes.
Hang on. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry. Hit the wrong button. Go ahead.
But for guys like me,
I'm an idiot.
a father, a husband, has a family, working, but wants to educate, wants to educate themselves, wants to know the truth. You can't go to mainstream media, right? So what is it? Telegram chats or independent journalists? Like what can people do?
It's taking information from a lot of sources and using critical thinking, which is what a lot of Americans have forgotten how to do. Max, I don't know what you're referring to as that's a lie. If you're referring to what I was talking to, go out and look up the actual executive order yourself and look up the interview yourself.
Wow. So
otherwise, Odious is correct. I hit the delete idiot button.
So this
guys,
is
guys like you, Daniel, you're not an idiot. You're asking real questions. But the reason I'm not willing to just give you the answers, because I get guys like Max that say that's a lie, who haven't bothered to go find out the truth themselves. So I'm giving you hints at what you can look at, more for other people, so they can go out and look at this information and learn how to think through the process and know where to look.
Well, this is
a lot of independent reporters on YouTube. You want good, unbiased news reporting? Go watch the Hindustan Times on YouTube.
Yeah.
The what?
They're pretty good.
The Hindustan Times. They play every press meeting, press thingy,
press briefing or whatever you want to say,
that they have.
Well, so what you're saying is that people who truly want to wake up and educate themselves on what's going on, they need to look at a lot of different resources and then do some critical thinking and filter out what they think is true and what's not true.
Yeah, what they really need to do is learn to think critically. Go ahead, Eddie.
I'm going to play this clip. I have not seen this clip. This clip comes from Bio Clandestine, his X channel and his Telegram channel. By the way, Bio Clandestine was if y'all don't know this channel on X, I think it was called War Clandestine. Anyway, they got basically zapped on Twitter 1.0 when he started talking about Ukrainian biolabs in March of 2022. He was one of the first ones on Twitter to bring it up. Now he's been totally vindicated, of course, and he's on Trump 2.0. Anyway, for some reason, the other day I went to his account and he blocked me. He blocked me. For what? I have like 1,900 followers on X. Tiny, tiny channel. He's got like, what, 500,000 followers? I don't know. I don't know what happened there. But anyway, what could I say? Dude, I live in Moscow, man. It's like, okay, whatever. So if anybody knows bioclandestine, y'all want to ask him, hey, what did you ban? Or what did, Moscow photographer. Anyway, let's listen to this clip. It's going to talk about the propaganda and how it is so thick.
Watching.
Yes.
We just heard you say Donald Trump is not standing up for Ukraine. What do you say to the person who says, well, I don't care about Ukraine. I want Donald Trump to stand up for America. What do you say to them?
I don't know where you got that. I mean, I don't have time for it.
Yes, but we hear it. We hear it.
Here's the thing. Where did you grow up? Did you grow up in a place where you thought the Russians were the good guys? What part of America did you grow up in where they taught you the Russians were the good guys and our allies were the bad guys? That's the flip here that we need to continue to remind people. The Russians are the bad guys. They're raping women. They're killing children. They're bombing cities. The Ukrainians are the noble good guys. In some ways, they're more American than we are over the last couple of years. And we must stand with them in the same way we stood with the allies in World War II and since this country was founded. This is not just about Ukraine. This is about the core and the integrity of American values. And that's what he's also betraying. Not just Ukraine, he's betraying America.
What? Is this guy for real?
No, you know what this guy is? This guy is for real. He's a real person, and he's paid to spew crap like that and to fight back against these, because all this is just it's a show. But look at all those points that he's talking about.
Total lies. And if he's talking about American, what did he say?
Well, what he's doing is he's reinforcing the message. That's what that is called. He's reinforcing the message. Because if you're starting to unbrainwash, he wants to put it back into your head. And
which
that's
is why
what they're doing. This is
got banned.
I'm sorry? Probably.
Photographer got banned.
Maybe so, dude.
But what did he just say now? He just said that Trump's not what now because he's not supporting Ukraine.
I'll play it again. It's a short clip, 40-something seconds. But I think it's important to listen to the setup. Here we go.
Yes. We just heard you say Donald Trump is not standing up for Ukraine. What do you say to the person?
So she's asking this person. She's setting up the question. She's setting up the idea.
Not hold on.
To give the answer he's giving.
Yeah, but not standing up for Ukraine. How about standing up for Americans? Almost 700,000 Americans are.
This is MSNBC. They're not talking to you and me.
Yeah.
They're talking to the people who are brainwashed.
Yeah. Listen to what they're saying, not to what they're not saying. This is about teaching you to notice the setup and the answer.
Right,
so
but how can
arguing with them?
Okay, but how can any American that is sitting watching this not standing up for Ukraine, not being an American? How about standing up for veterans like myself who lost benefits every year? How about standing up? Like, why aren't Americans that are sitting on their couch, brainwashed or not, why can't they be like, wait a minute? How about standing up for our own citizens?
They're
so
not there
nobody
yet.
here is disagreeing with you on that. However, there is about 49% of the U.S. citizenry that has been fed with so much pro-Ukraine, anti-Russia propaganda that they believe this, and they don't believe that the veterans are having their benefits cut. They don't believe Trump is doing good here. So
Daniel,
because they get caught up in their emotions.
That's scary.
You know how I always like to say, let's go and look at the 40,000 foot view. Okay? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take you out to 40,000 feet and we'll watch this clip again. But here is why this clip is so important and what they're trying to do. Look at, this is MSNBC. You and I are not, we are not the customers of MSNBC.
Right.
Okay? So they're not talking to you and me. They're talking to that person, probably 65 or older, probably boomers. They're talking to housewives that sit at home and don't work. They're talking to their customer base. Okay?
Unbelievable.
And the reason that they're saying, the reason they brought this guy on there, listen to this. The reason they brought this guy on there is because these people are waking up and they need to put them back to sleep. They need to keep the brainwashing working. That's why this clip is so significant.
Wow.
And that's the reason I'm playing it, because the truth is getting out. And oh no, we gotta shove it back down our throats. We gotta do it forcefully. So here you go, propaganda in real time. Here you go.
We just heard you say Donald Trump is not standing up for Ukraine. What do you say to the person who says, well, I don't care about Ukraine. I want Donald Trump to stand up for America. What do you say to them?
I don't know where you got that. I mean, I don't have time for it.
Yes, but we hear it. We hear it.
Here's the thing. Where did you grow up? Did you grow up in a place where you thought the Russians were the good guys?
Now, I'm going to stop this right here. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Okay? Look at who they decided to help craft this message. 40-something-year-old white guy. Right? He sounds like he's full of testosterone. He's macho guy. He sounds very conservative.
He sounds very MAGA.
He looks and sounds MAGA, but what's spewing out of his mouth is not. So it's what perception management, as my buddy Kevin likes to call it. Okay, so look at this whole big picture. I mean, it's plain to see, but here you go. This is the MAGA guy that they MAGA look-alike. Here we go.
What part of America did you grow up in where they taught you the Russians were the good guys and our allies were the bad guys? That's the flip here that we need to continue to remind people. The Russians are the bad guys. They're raping women. They're killing children. They're bombing cities. The Ukrainians are the noble good guys. In some ways, they're more American than we are over the last couple of years. And we must stand with them in the same way we stood with the allies in World War II and since this country was founded. This is not just about Ukraine. This is about the core and the integrity of American values. And that's what he's also betraying. Not just Ukraine. He's betraying America.
Betraying American values.
My blood is boiling listening to this guy. Are you serious?
Yeah, he's there to appeal to the high T white man and the lonely housewife at home as well.
What's high T? What is high T?
High testosterone white male. But you know what, dude? If you're a white male and you've got a lot of T and you're in America, you're MAGA, baby. Okay? Because only the weak, only the beta males, only those who get periods, those are the ones who are left-leaning Democrats. Let's just call it what it is.
Which is why they needed a guy like this to deliver this
counter
message.
the argument.
So those who were starting to wake up, he basically took a club and knocked them back to sleep.
Well, he's trying to. Yeah.
So think about MSNBC, since everyone's commenting about that out there. Just a week or so ago, they did a story about Musk and not being unbiased in the government contracts he's reviewing, because there was a line item in the budget to buy, I don't remember how many millions of dollars worth of Tesla pickup trucks. But then the truth came out. It was signed for to buy them under Biden. And the DOD changed it to say to buy electric pickup trucks. Didn't specify a type. So after MSNBC was called on it and they got caught in their lie, they came back and they says, oh, well, so now Trump has had the budget item line changed.
Wow.
So their whole deal is to support that deep state story.
Absolutely.
So, you know,
who in their right mind would want to be a politician? I mean, really. It's like it's a dog-eat-dog world.
Guys want to be rich.
I mean, there are guys and women that go in wanting to do good, but it sounds like the system we have, there's no way they can.
I don't know. I'm going to wrap up our live because we've been going for about an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh, wow. Now. Yeah. I
want to wrap it up, but I'm going to say this, that I had a poli-sci professor in college who was also the Democratic Party county chairman. Okay. So he's deep in the Democratic Party. And I remember we were talking about, what's his name? Vice President for under the Kennedy. LBJ. By God, he's from Texas. We were talking about Lyndon Baines Johnson. Okay. And LBJ got into politics at a young age in, I want to say, the Central Texas area, Austin area. And the reason he got into politics was because he had information. He became one of the, I think, the largest radio station owners in Texas because he knew and he was close to the information that would say what markets were about to open up and where they were going to erect a new AM radio station in what area. So he could go and buy that land, and then they put that tower on it and pay him the rent for it. Stuff like that. So it's basically you go into government because you're the proximity to information that you can monetize. That was back in the 80s. That's when I first started to okay. Yeah.
Can I just say, well, I want to say thank you for everyone who's watching. But Odious Wright, he wrote, I miss Daniel since there are only, you put it up, Eddie?
No, I didn't.
No, I put it up because you're constantly pinging me, Daniel, saying you come to these streams and you aren't aware of what it is, and we're always teaching you things. And this is what I tell you all the time. Your questions are what people are asking.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good. I'm happy.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
Guys, thank you all so much for being on the live for now an hour and 23 minutes. And I will tell you how many subscribers we have on the Sounding Off podcast channel going forward. 16 subscribers from 0. Thank you all so much.
Nice.
If you're still coming on late, you don't know what's going on, I'm moving this podcast to its own channel, Sounding Off Podcast. You see it down there. Go and subscribe right now. And over the next couple of weeks, we'll be transitioning all our podcasts and geopolitical related stuff over there. Thanks, my friends. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Love you guys. We'll see you all next week. Baka.
Ciao.